I remember sitting in my office and just completely defeated and hopeless when I didn't have anything to do, which was quite often. And I would just fantasize about telling my supervisor that, here's my 2 weeks. But I didn't think it was possible for 5 more years based on like some financial calculations I made and things like that. And essentially, I just felt like this was going to be a 5-year prison sentence. Like I got to do my time and then I can be free. However, though, it got to the point where I became so depressed and miserable, and there's like physical health issues I was having that I think were stress related, like acid reflux, insomnia, diarrhea, that it got to the point. I mean, I remember the day I got to the point I had seen my last patient, and I was like, I don't think I can come back here. I mean, I said that to myself. And, the next morning rolled around, and I called in sick. And I went to go take a walk. I went to the beach, walked around, and, I decided like I can't go back. I literally can't go back. And at that point, then my mind began to do what the mind does best, and that's search for solutions. So that's kind of what I want to talk to you about today is the power of decision. Because when you decide something, like you're going to find a way. I am 100% convinced that when you say this is going to happen, your mind will do what the mind does best. Find a solution. I think the issue is, though, when we become increasingly depressed and miserable, our area of attention just kind of constricts. And we don't see what's possible because we get so into our own funk and misery that, we say, okay, I can't do X until Y. And then we just take it as fact. I can't leave for 5 more years, and we just take it as fact. A good quote I like that I've shared before is a question opens the mind, a statement closes the mind. So if I say I can't leave for 5 more years, then my mind doesn't even do anything. It just says, okay, well, we're going to be miserable for 5 more years. Let's clock in. Let's fulfill the sentence. And it's almost like on a micro scale of what a career is. It's like, okay, well, I got to do 20 years here before I can start enjoying myself. Because we don't think about what else is possible just because, well, A, maybe we're not miserable enough. B, we're not really taught to think outside of the box. I mean, we're taught to conform and color in the line since day one. But more importantly, like we didn't give ourselves the opportunity to find another solution because we said, you know what? I just need to do 20 more years and I'm done. I just need to do 5 more years and I'm done. However, you don't wait for the plan to decide. You decide and then the plan will come. And that's what happened to me. And it really it taught me something that, you can't see everything. You can't see all the possibilities. Whether it's lack of knowledge, whether it's just your own biases, whether it's just X, Y, and Z. Whether it's just you're lazy or you're too stupid. The word decide, I think it's Latin, and it means to cut off. So when you decide on something, in this case, when I decided I was going to quit my job and go overseas, I cut off all their options. You cut off the possibility that, okay, I'm just going to get another job, I'm miserable, or you know what, I'm just going to do this for 3 more months. No. All that gets cut off. And it's beautiful because it's clean and it's pure and it's like, okay, this is going to happen. I am no longer going back to that job anymore. I am no longer going to like pretend like I can do this and I care, and I'm not going to play the game for 5 more years just so I can have a little bit more money. I don't care. I've talked about this before, but money without freedom and autonomy is meaningless to me. I don't need it. I told you this. I told this in another video. I was making 160K, which is more than I've ever made, and I was freaking miserable. Looking back at other times in my life, when I told myself that was it. And I never approached girls during that time that I was attracted to because I was like, oh, I can't do this. Oh, I'm just I cut off the possibility that, there was a more bold, assertive man beneath all that. Right? And this just goes into, the power of labels and what you tell yourself. It still baffles me, and it makes me like so fascinated that like we are so good at BSing ourselves. Again, I'm not the smartest person in the room, but I have a PhD in clinical psychology, and I successfully BS myself masterfully. And you know, the decision goes two ways. When I decided I was going to get over my anxiety and go approach women, guess what happened? I found a way. Right? I cut off the possibility of me checking out. I cut off the possibility of me not doing it. I said, I'm doing this now, and I did it. I think the problem for a lot of people, including myself, and for change in general, because change is hard, change takes a lot of work, but most people just don't get to that breaking point of misery. They're kind of unhappy, but they're not unhappy enough to change. Like with the girl situation, I was so miserable because I was haunting myself. I was like tormenting myself for years to try to get over this fear. I just had enough. I got tired of torturing myself, and that's the only reason I did it. Because the discomfort of going to talk to women was less painful than the me beating myself up for years on end. Similarly, I was so miserable at my job, I will deal with the discomfort of having less money, having maybe financial hardships, dealing with the difficulties of traveling and meeting and settling in a new country. Because there's never a free lunch. There's always going to be pain, but that pain seemed more appealing than the pain of working in a job that I felt like was crushing my soul. So let me know in the comments, what are you putting off deciding on? What are you telling yourself that you can't do? Or that's not possible? Because you're shooting yourself in the foot. I mean, learn from my mistakes. I shot myself in the foot and wasted a year of my life. Miserable at that job. Because that's what I was supposed to do, and that's the track, and you know what? I'm going to get that financial security. I don't care. I wouldn't have made it that long. I would have had a heart attack or a stroke. So, what are you putting off, and when are you going to decide?